Today I'm going to talk about how traumatic events affect your memory, and I have my three lovely audience members who are going to listen to my speech today. We are all forgetful. Whether it's homework or doing chores, sometimes things slip your mind. After it's past due, you remember and think, why would I forget something like that? Usually this is caused by some sort of stress, and everyone has these moments. But sometimes it's more than a simple task that you forget, but an entire event altogether. Today, I'm going to persuade you that people can actually forget emotional events through repression or dissociative amnesia, as well as post-traumatic stress disorder. Repression is a defense mechanism that the brain uses to keep unwanted memories from causing emotional pain for the body. According to Dr. Adrian Fernham, repression is when the mind puts a dangerous memory or event from the conscious into the unconscious. And repression is actually a natural coping mechanism the body uses to prevent it from going into shock. So the brain will completely get rid of the memory, and when it gets rid of the memory, it's so you don't have to keep thinking about it, because if you keep thinking about it, then it can have ultimate lasting effects, which can also result in suicide, which is why a lot of people who go through post-traumatic stress disorder end up killing themselves because they can't remember memories, or they can remember what is going on and they don't want to think about it anymore. And post-traumatic stress disorder is actually one of the main causes of repression. And can be from rape, war, or some sort of combat, or even a car accident, something as simple as that. And all of these events can be very traumatic, and the brain doesn't want you to relive those events. Dr. Chris Bruin of the University of Chicago says memories of traumatic experiences are dissociative and split from normal conscious, resulting in a powerful, uncontrollable reenactment of the event, which means that basically what can happen is you may forget the event, but maybe you're walking down the street and you hear a loud car, and the loud car is associated with a bombing in Afghanistan, and you can immediately remember the events just by hearing that, even if you didn't even remember it happening. And that is very interesting and can also result in reliving the traumatic event. PTSD can also actually cause the shrinking of the hippocampus in the brain. And the hippocampus actually is what controls memories, and if it shrinks, then the memories are essentially forgotten. Dr. J. Douglas Bremner states in his article called Invisible Epidemic, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, Memory and Memory of the Brain, confirmed that the hippocampus shrinks when going through emotional trauma. According to Dr. Matthew Toll's article, What is we experiencing in post-traumatic stress disorder, a smell or sound can also result in flashbacks and of a suppressed memory to resurface, making the victim relive the event, which again is from PTSD, and people will relive these events and just from smelling something that could have been going on while they were going through it. So if a woman was kidnapped and she's in the back of the van and she smells cigarette smoke, then maybe when she's walking down the street and smells of cigarette smoke, she immediately remembers it. And it can be very dramatic for the person because they're just going out their everyday life, and it can have great effects. One last part that can help make you forget memories is called dissociative amnesia. And this is another way that the brain copes with trauma. Dr. David Spiegel, in his writings of dissociative amnesia, he explains it's when the mind cannot remember the event that the subconscious does. An example is a woman is raped in an elevator. She doesn't remember the event at all, and there's nothing that can trigger the event, but for some reason, every time she goes into an elevator, she gets a panic attack, and she has no idea why. But it's because when the brain will associate certain things with traumatic events, and essentially you'll forget it, but it's still there in your mind. In conclusion, today I have informed you on the different ways people forget certain events, because they are so traumatic that you wouldn't want to remember something that's that traumatic for you. I mean, if you forget about it, then you'll have that less stress on your brain. And when you have to deal with that sort of trauma, it's so hard to cope with and deal with. And the best way to cope with it is to talk about it, but it's sometimes hard to be able to talk about it when you don't remember it. So just remember, before you judge someone of why they forget something, just remember that sometimes it's really hard for them to remember it through through PTSD, repression, and dissociative amnesia. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the video.